Well, welcome. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Palvolgyi. I'm the CEO of All Digital, and I would like to welcome you to this very important event for us, the launch of the new Manifesto for enhancing digital competences in Europe. There have been a number of high-level profile actions, including the EU Digital Strategy, the Digital Education Action Plan, the Europe's Digital Decade. These are flagship actions that will determine the work of the European Commission for the next 5 years and will, of course, also challenge all digital. And our aim is to establish all digital as a representative voice for digital competence development in Europe. The Manifesto is our new fundamental policy document, and it seeks to contribute to the dialogue, the implementation, and the cooperation on these actions and other actions to deliver Europe's digital future. And its realization is really a strategic priority for All Digital. Let me say a few words about All Digital. We are a pan-European international association based in Brussels, representing 70 member organizations who work with 20,000 digital competence centers across Europe and who are supporting the development of digital skills of 1.5 million Europeans every year by providing them with training and advice. And our focus is on everyone who need to develop their digital skills. And we believe that everyone should be able to benefit from the digital transformation. And our focus areas include the basic digital skills, but also advanced digital skills for better employment and employability. We work in digital media literacy, support STEAM skills for society and STEAM educators. And we also work on digital cultural heritage. And our mission is to support and empower our member organizations who are digital competence centers and their networks and other organizations and companies and institutions, most often non-formal education providers who support millions of Europeans to succeed in the digital transformation by providing them with training and advice. And our inclusive network is open to everyone, every organization who would like to join our digital community. Digital skills are very high in the political agenda. And a few weeks ago, at the opening event of our All Digital Week campaign, Commissioner Maria Gabriela said that we need to go beyond digitalization into a real digital transformation of our economy and society. And it requires all Europeans to have the digital skills required to be an active members of the society. And that's why we also do a lot of awareness raising campaign and awareness raising to support all those who don't have sufficient digital skills to respond to the challenges of digital transformation. The All Digital Week campaign was organized in the last 6 weeks by All Digital and its members and other partner organizations. And the aim of the campaign was to engage and empower thousands of citizens to use digital technologies and enhance their digital skills. And this was our 13th annual campaign. And our motto for this year was to be a digital hero, or to say everyone can be a digital hero. And we put the focus this year on the educators in the broadest sense, who are the real digital heroes of our days. And this year, the All Digital All Digital Week campaign hosted over 400 events with 138 partners from all over Europe and reached over 100,000 participants. All Digital is also playing an important role in promoting the implementation of the digital competence framework for citizens, and we established a community of practice which welcomes everyone who has an interest in Digicom, who's interested in Digicom. And currently we have 400 members and have established 12 working groups who are involved in the further development of the Digicom framework in collaboration, the European Commission and the Joint Research Center. And the As you may know, the aim of the revision process is to bring the DigiCom framework more up to date by collecting and validating of examples of knowledge, skills, and attitudes to each competencies, and to better reflect on new and emerging contexts and technologies. And another community of practice we have established and manage is welcoming every person who is interested in discussing the objectives and the use of digital, the European Digital Skills Certificate. And this community of practice has currently 300 members and is supporting the European Commission and the Joint Research Center in the definition of this initiative. And I know many of you are already members of these communities of practice, but if not, we invite you to join the communities. And I'd like to mention that a few weeks ago, we launched our new online digital skills self-assessment tool, My DigiSkills, that help users understand their digital competencies. And it's entirely based on the digital competence framework, the DigiCom 2.1, and it covers 6 proficiency levels, and it's currently available in 7 languages: English, German, Italian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Spanish, and Romanian, but more language versions, for instance, French and Greek, Hungarian, Russian, Ukrainian, will be added very soon to the tool. And last to mention that ODigital is involved in a great number of projects that address social challenges in collaboration between various stakeholders and universities, digital competence centers, training organizations, civil society organizations, with the support of the European Commission to provide real solutions that benefit people and the society. And back to the program today, the launch of our new manifesto for enhancing digital competencies across Europe. I will invite Professor Achilles Kameas, professor of Hellenic Open University and currently the chair of ODigital, to present the new manifesto. Then we asked our stakeholders to reflect on our statements in the manifesto. And we will have statements or reflections from the point of view of the European Commission, representatives of DG Education and DG Employment. Then we invited representatives of the industry. Then we will hear statements from other European networks. And last but not least, our ODigital member organization representatives. And finally, my colleague Ekaterina Clifford will explain how you can endorse the manifesto. So moving on, I will ask Professor Achilles Kameas to present the new manifesto to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our distinguished guests, and thank you for being with us today and for accepting to share with us your views on our new manifesto. And of course, thank you to all the people who are joining and attending the event. I will say a few words about our new manifesto. Yep, I hope now you can see my screen. Is everything okay?
Yes.
All right. So in this event, we launch the new version of our manifesto. It's, let's say, the second edition of this manifesto. The first one was produced 2 or 3 years ago. And we felt that it was time to produce a new version because there have been many changes in the European context in the last year. During the last year, we had this COVID pandemic, which forced the digital transformation of our society and our way of living. Then a whole new bunch of European Union policies and strategic papers have been published, and we were happy to see that many of them were in line with the contents of our previous version of the manifesto. So as all digital, we felt it was time to move forward, produce a new version, and help in our way. European Commission applies, design and apply its policies regarding digital competencies. Our manifesto describes our commitment to support dialogue towards designing the policies, but also towards implementing them, and cooperation of all stakeholders in Europe. The realization of the manifesto is a strategic priority for all digital, and we will invest our effort and resources into its different aspects, of which I will say a few words now. The manifesto contains 5 chapters, 5 building blocks. It is about education and training regarding the development of digital competencies. So the aspects, the building blocks evolve around this key topic. The bottom line, at the heart of the manifesto lies the assumption, lies the suggestion that education and training in Europe must become more coherent and more consistent. And we call all the EU institutions, the member states, the stakeholders, but even all digital and all digital members to take actions and to find new ways to cooperate at European, national, regional or local levels in order to deliver the ambition that is described in this manifesto. I will say a few words about each one of the pillars, starting from the education and training offer itself, which we believe should be, first of all, be relevant, which means we think it must be designed to reflect the needs of those who are affected by it, and these are the people, the labor market, and the society in general. It should be tailored and personalized to these needs, and at the same time, it should be holistic. Digital competencies do not stand in isolation anymore. They are enabling competencies. They are key competencies. They are enabling competencies at the same time. They should be perceived in together with other competencies like entrepreneurial and Greek competencies. And also trainings should provide competencies that support employability, development of career, and also provide key skills for life. At the same time, the education and training offer should be transforming, should be evolving in line with the digital transformation, should not remain static, but follow the changes in our society and economy. And finally, it should have a lifelong nature. It should be recognized as part of lifelong learning pathways, and that is why we feel it should be included, the development of digital competences should be included in individual learning accounts schemes. Our second pillar relates to access to education and training. And in this respect, the first one important aspect is that there should be enough education and training available for in the market to meet the demands of those who want to use it, those who want to develop their competencies. Citizens must be given every opportunity, support and encouragement to improve their digital competencies. At the same time, this access to education and training must be flexible. It should support ways to be accessed that reflect how people live and work. By that, we mean that it should take into account the constraints that people have in their everyday lives, and should adapt to different learning approaches and different learning styles. And that in this the characteristic here, in this feature here, we also add our support to micro-credentials and say that the European approach to micro-credentials must consider the role of digital competence centers and the certification organizations. And finally, access to education and training must be inclusive. It should respect cultural diversity and expression. It should provide equal opportunity, ensure actually equal opportunity, and especially address underrepresentation of women, And also, it should not discriminate on any basis, for example, age, gender, race, or financial conditions. For us, it's very important to talk about the quality of education and training. And by talking about that, first we state that digital competencies are fundamental to delivering on the European Pillar of Social Rights. And hence their quality is really important. And in order to ensure quality, we think that education and training should be systematic, should be based on quality standards, use the European frameworks on digital competencies, and also based on guidelines and quality assurance, adopt quality assurance procedures. Then the quality, it should be possible to measure the quality, and one way to do this is to base training, European training design and delivery on learning outcomes. Learning outcomes ensure a decoupling of the way the training is done, and allows us to focus on the outcomes of the training, on the helping citizens to successfully achieve the learning outcomes. And at the same time, and this is also this is really important to mention here, education and training should be offered on digital competencies, should be offered by qualified organizations recognized that fulfill certain quality criteria and that employ qualified trainers and educators. And let me mention here once more how important it is to invest on the development of the competencies of our trainers and educators, as well as the infrastructure of the digital competence centers that offer the training. The fourth pillar of our manifesto calls for a European approach to the development of digital competencies. And first and foremost here is the Digicom framework, of which All Digital is a long time, I would say lifelong supporter. We believe it has been proven already that Digicom is an internal part in responding to the impact of the digital transition, and we think it should remain so. So it should be better established at European level, and its systematic use should be supported. Very important is also the certification on digital competencies, and we welcome the European Digital Skills Certificate Initiative. And we think that digital competencies should be, certification should be, of digital competencies should be based on the quality approaches and lead to recognition. Already, as you have heard, All Digital is supporting two big European communities of practice to develop, to implement these strategic objectives. One is focused on developing Digicom, the other one is focused on paving the way to the European Digital Skills Certificate. And then two more aspects of the European approach is communication, in which we call the European Commission to develop a digital competencies profile, which will serve as a standard for describing digital competencies and can be used by different tools like Europass, for example. And towards this direction, we have developed the self-assessment tool for digital competencies. And finally, recognition of digital competencies that will ensure mobility of people who have achieved them, who have acquired them, and this recognition must use all technological means available, digital technology. By that, we mean digital credentials. And finally, sustainability and development of digital competencies. This requires a collaboration between industry, society, education, and training on the design and delivery of education and training offered on digital competencies, as it is very well described in the Pact for Skills. And this should not happen only at a local or national level, but at European level. Then investment must be done on the infrastructure, on the necessary infrastructure to develop this training, and also digital competencies must be included within the national learning and skills strategies. So investment at the national level is very important. At the same time, this investment should ensure that every European citizen has access to digital competencies, education and training, so that they can develop their digital competencies. And finally, but for us, probably the most important of these recommendations in the manifesto is that is the governance of the digital competence frameworks in Europe. And in this, for this, all digital volunteers and commits to work in order to support a greater cooperation among the digital the stakeholders of digital competences in Europe, as we have already been doing all these years, and lately with the establishment of the communities of practice. So, closing, I'd like to summarize that the digital competence manifesto is meant to lead to improve citizenship, because for us, improved citizenship is the primary aim of developing digital competencies. So all citizens should be supported to enhance their digital competencies in order that they are included in the modern, digitally transformed societies. No citizen should feel excluded. If you share these principles and this vision with us, we'd like to ask you to read the manifesto in the all digital website and endorse it. Ask your organization to endorse it or endorse it as individuals. Thank you. That was all on my side.
Thank you very much, Achilles. And Ekaterina later will explain and show where to find the manifesto on the all digital website and how you can endorse it. And if you have any questions, please put in the chat, and if we have time, we try to respond to those questions. And now, continuing, I would like to ask representatives of the European Commission to say a few words about our manifesto and the statements we put there. And I'm not sure if I see the first contributor, Maria Gkountouma from DG Education, Youth, Sport and Culture, the Digital Education Unit. If she is with us, if yes, I would like to ask Maria to make your statements. Thank you.
Yes, Peter. Thank you very much.
Hello, Maria. Yes, thank you.
Hi. And thanks for reading my name correctly. Actually, it's quite difficult. So thanks a lot. So I'm very happy to attend this event on the launch of the manifesto. We in ACT truly believe that all digital can make a very significant contribution in the promotion of the digital skills and competencies. And we particularly enjoy the fact that you support so many stakeholders in education and training across Europe. One of the things that we have understood and embraced has to do with the fact that we all live in this digital era, and little by little, words like digital skills and competencies are not buzzwords anymore, and they are not a trend. We strongly believe that all of these concepts, skills and competencies are here to stay. So we are very happy to see that there are other people and stakeholders like you who want to work together with us to organize this digital context in education and make it more cohesive and sustainable. So as you probably know already, we have been following all digital's work quite closely. And we can see that you have made extremely valuable contributions to developing the digital skills, but also trying to bridge this digital gap and promote inclusion. So in that sense, I can say already that in DGAC, we of course welcome the manifesto, and we strongly believe that it's quite aligned with our vision, our goals, the way we designed the Digital Education Action Plan, and the way we intend to implement it over the next few years. When reading the manifesto, I noticed that you mention at least 7 actions of the Digital Action Plan, actions that focus on promoting and developing digital skills. So in that sense, I think this actually verifies that we both share the same vision and the same goal. Just to give you an example, we are happy that you are very supportive in the promotion of the digital competencies framework that Achilles already mentioned. And I know that you are currently contributing to its update. As you might know, I'm actually leading Action 6 on disruptive technologies, AI and data. So I'm very grateful that you are committed and you're hosting the community of practice in JRC that will promote and support the update of the framework to include the technologies I'm leading. So I'm very grateful for all the work you're doing. I'm also a member of this community and I follow everything quite closely. As you know, we share this, let's say, concern about the inclusion and the skills gap. So we also, through the Digital Education Action Plan, we also try to expand the digital opportunity traineeships to include VET and also to provide more professional development opportunities for teachers, trainers, and educational staff, not only in VET, but also higher education and lifelong learning. So I think that in that sense, we are also quite eager to support a European digital skills certificate that you also mentioned in your presentation. We have already started working on the digital skills certificate. We started with a feasibility study, and we are also very happy and content to see that you also animate discussions with your stakeholders and on how to shape this concept, how to develop this skills certificate. It is quite a challenge to have something that will be unified and cohesive across all member states. So having extensive discussions and research and studies on how to do this properly and in a satisfactory manner for everyone is quite important. One aspect of the manifesto that I also enjoyed reading about concerns my action. And evidently, apart from the fact that we want to raise awareness and promote ethical behavior, it seems that we also have this concern about ethics and about combating discrimination, supporting equality and inclusion, and always doing it in an ethical manner. I would like to stress here that we are actually developing two ethical guidelines: an ethical guideline to foster digital literacy and tackle disinformation through education and training, and another set of ethical guidelines on artificial intelligence and data use in education and training. And on this occasion, I will actually take the opportunity to inform all of you that the call for experts to work on the ethical guidelines on AI and data in education is already published. So we would like to invite all digital and all of your stakeholders to apply and contribute to this action on the development of the ethical guidelines. We would be happy to answer any questions, provide any details on the guidelines, as we feel that it's not only important to acquire digital skills and competencies, you have to apply them in an ethical, conscientious manner in order to be more effective and align with social needs. As you also know, since we actually share this importance of digital skills and competencies, we will be also launching a strategic dialogue with member states. We really feel the need to discuss what are the enabling factors for successful digital education. So we are going to have a very broad strategic dialogue, and we will also be creating the digital education hub. For us, this is very important because it will be a new, coherent and continuous space for knowledge exchange, for interconnection, for cross-sector collaboration, and of course, for agile development of policy and practice. We sincerely think that all of you, all digital, your stakeholders, member states, can all join the hub and the dialogues in order to contribute to the policy and make it more agile. We really need to catch up with the technological advances and the needs of our society, of the labor market. So we need the contribution of everyone in this hub. So as mentioned, of course, we are very highly satisfied with this manifesto because it actually enhances digital competences across Europe. We really hope that you will always have an active participation in our activities, as we aim to have in all activities that All Digital is organizing. And we really see potential for collaboration, not only now, but also in the future. So we are open to suggestions, to recommendations, and of course, we hope that you will take an active role on both guidelines, on the Digicom, the digital certificates, and so on. So again, I would like to say that we are welcoming the manifesto. We are very happy to read this document and support you on making it a reality. And of course, we would like to thank you for the excellent work we have done so far. And personally, I would like to thank you for the work on digital competencies and for including emerging technologies in it. So thank you very much again. I would be happy to respond to any questions you might have. And I foresee to future collaboration.
Thank you very much, Maria. And I see a raised hand, but I would wait a little bit, giving the floor to Andrea Brodnik for his question, because I would like to invite another Commission representative to say a few words about our manifesto, Michael Horgan, who is Policy Officer, DG Employment, Digital Affairs and Inclusion, and is working in the VET apprenticeship and adult learning unit. And we have the chance to collaborate in the past few weeks and months together. So Michael, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter, for this invitation to share a few thoughts on the manifesto that you're launching today. And let me acknowledge, first of all, as the previous speaker did, that All Digital is indeed a key partner, already working on important strands of work, such as the community of practices for the European Digital Skills Certificate and the update of Digicom. Like Maria, before, I see that the All Digital Manifesto is very much in keeping with our European vision and ambition on enhancing digital competences. As we all know, indeed, 90% of jobs now require digital skills. Yet, according to our latest Digital Economy and Society Index, DESI, in 2020, 42% of the adult population in the EU still did not have those basic skills. As we know, also the digital transition, we already knew about before the pandemic, but it has been accelerated by it and has found us.
Olá, bom dia, António. Espero que esteja bem. Eu sei que ainda
found us unprepared.
que esta minha mensagem não.
Sorry, someone is speaking.
Agradecia que depois, quando tivesse alguma disponibilidade
both in the
durante o período
education
da
sphere
manhã.
and the labour market. As the manifesto rightly points out, digital skills and jobs are more than ever a key priority in our initiatives, such as the EU's digital strategy, the digital compass, and the pillar of social rights and its action plan. These are supported also by the major initiatives, as pointed out in the manifesto, such as the European Skills Agenda, European Education Area, and the Digital Education Action Plan. But as you rightly say, these initiatives must work together and be ever more consistent and cohesive. I believe that the introduction of common and ambitious objectives, such as the 70% of adults having at least basic digital skills by 2025, which is mentioned both in the European Skills Agenda and the Digital Education Action Plan, I believe that it can reinforce this cohesive working together. And this objective has been further extended in the Digital Compass, which aims to ensure that 80% of adults have basic digital skills by 2030. So what I would say is, while over the last years, the share of adults with at least basic digital skills has been increasing slowly, less than 1% a year, it's not enough. To achieve the objectives that we have now set, the growth rate must be substantially more than this, something closer to 4% each year until 2025. And I think we can now be more ambitious as the COVID pandemic has emphasized the need to advance much more quickly, but also progress can be made much faster. I would say also that some countries, notably like Ireland and Greece, have shown in recent years that it is possible to improve in terms of the share of population with basic digital skills. And some member states, a group of 5 member states, have already achieved this 70% objective that we have set. So moving more to the 5 areas in your manifesto, I think they're very much in keeping with our European approach. The first one you propose regards education and training offer in digital competences. And as you say, it must be relevant, holistic, transforming, and lifelong. This is very much in keeping with the spirit of our skills agenda and also the 2 priorities of the Digital Education Action Plan. Like the skills agenda, the action plan also has taken up a very much a lifelong learning perspective, as has been mentioned by Maria before. And in this context of lifelong learning, I take note of your support of the Commission action on individual learning accounts as a useful tool for supporting lifelong learning and adult upskilling. Indeed, increasing adult participation in learning has been one of the most difficult challenges we have faced in the ET 2020 context, for instance. Yet, changing skills requirements accelerated by the twin transitions and COVID make building skills throughout life ever more important. We would agree that the development of digital competences would evidently be one type of learning for which individuals could use individual learning accounts. On your the second area you mentioned, namely access to education and training, is equally crucial. We are working to increase access to courses, digital courses and resources, for instance, through the new Europass portal and the digital skills and jobs platform that the Commission plans to launch on the 20th of May. And as your manifesto says, education and training must also be increasingly flexible, and we will surely see an increase in blended learning, with in-person learning combined with online learning, and even use of new technologies like virtual reality and simulation and so on, which is we're already seeing being used in the VET context. I think we must also use all the appropriate tools available to enhance flexibility. And I'm glad in this connection that you agree that a single European approach to micro-credentials would be helpful in this by increasing recognition and portability of digital competence certificates issued after short courses. The added value can come from promoting transparency and common European definitions and standards for quality, which are currently lacking. This will also increase the trust in micro-credentials and help to make it possible to integrate them into existing training systems, even at national level. However, to ensure inclusion, which was also mentioned by the previous speaker, we must, and is mentioned, of course, in your manifesto, we must also ensure access to these tools, including for groups that may be disadvantaged or risk exclusion for reasons of ethnic origin, gender, age, disability, or whatever. Another important aspect of inclusion that you also mention in your manifesto is that we need to address the underrepresentation of women in STEM and ICT and attract more women into this area. And this is indeed addressed specifically by the Action 13 of the Digital Education Action Plan, which aims to encourage women's participation in STEM. And this concern is also reflected in the digital competence target of having 20 million employed ICT specialists by 2030. I fully agree also on your insistence on quality assurance as your third key area, and to ensure quality courses and services, the family of European competence frameworks, DigComp, DigComp Edu, and Selfie and so on, these can be very helpful, combined with quality assurance tools, as you mentioned. We very much, of course, agree as you stress on the learning outcomes approach, and this is the way we've been working in the Commission in the context of the European qualifications framework and referencing to national qualifications frameworks and so on. And clearly the issue of quality and competences competence of education and training organizations and teachers is also a key one, and is highlighted in the Digital Education Action Plan, which will propose a council recommendation on improving the provision of digital skills in education and training and investing in teachers' professional development. We also agree, as you say in the key area 4, with all digital, with your manifesto, that the digital competence framework for citizens should be further established as the EU-wide framework for understanding and developing digital competences. It is impressive, I think, how many member states and regions in Europe have used DigComp to frame digital skills policy, curricular development, and assessment of digital competences. However, I think while there is high awareness of DigComp among the DigComp community and the digital stakeholders, it is clear that we can do more on promoting DigComp as the EU-wide framework. This will be especially important in the context of the European Digital Skills Certificate, which you are, of course, supporting very much. Finally, I totally agree with you that to reach the ambitious European objectives that we have set, we require a whole of government approach that includes digital competence development across the board in employment, education, training, and society. As mentioned in your manifesto, digital competences must be incorporated in education, training, lifelong learning systems, and national strategies at all levels. Again, I think a widely recognized EU framework such as DigComp can be very helpful in this. And maybe just to conclude, we have these very ambitious objectives with regard to making sure that the whole adult population has digital skills. But to end on a positive note on funding, I think that we have unprecedented resources available for upskilling, including in digital upskilling. In setting our priorities for the ESF Plus, Erasmus Digital Europe Programme, and InvestEU, we have up to 85 billion euros available, and to that we can add under the new Recovery and Resilience Facility, which amounts to 672.5 billion. Skills investment will also be prioritized as part of the recovery plan for Europe. And as you know, the Commission strongly recommends member states to focus money on skills investment in the recovery and resilience plans. And indeed, as part of these recovery plans, member states must dedicate at least 20% of the budget to digital transformation, including reforms to promote digital skills of the population, both for basic and advanced skills. So, of course, this is these are huge resources, unprecedented resources made available now, but of course, they cannot pay for everyone's training needs in Europe, and we need to also increase investment at national, individual, and enterprise level. And in this, the Pact for Skills, which was mentioned by previous speakers, will inject new money, and including from private enterprise, to invest in people and their skills and digital skills. Many thanks.
Michael, thank you very much for your comprehensive review of our manifesto and your comments on that. Thank you indeed. Now we have a few minutes for questions to Maria, to Michael, and to Achilles. So if you have any questions to the speakers, please, you can take the floor to ask. I see one question in the chat. It will be interesting to hear where Europass fits in terms of individual learning accounts. I don't know if the question is clear enough.
Well, maybe I can just make an initial answer. We probably even have colleagues who are more directly working in Europass here participating, so they can also chip in. But of course, the individual learning accounts would be like many of the tools, you know, the plan in the new very integrated, comprehensive Europass portal is to make all these tools available, including some of the other tools that mentioned in the manifesto, DigCompSat, and you know, the whole battery of tools will be made available, including the whole, you know, Europass digital credentials and individual learning accounts. I don't know if any other colleague would like to add.
Thank you, Michael. Is there any question from the audience? I can see another question in the chat. What are the intersections with digital skills in research? Can you reflect on that, Maria?
If I may, yes. As you know, the Digital Education Action Plan is part of the European education area. And the Commission is also supporting the European research area. Though the Digital Education Action Plan is not part of ERA, but part of EEA, we also have some collaborations. Just to give you an example from our activities, from our actions, the action on supporting connectivity is not only for schools, it's also for higher education institutions, research labs, foundations, and so on. In addition, as you know, the digital competencies framework includes, let's say, various strands. So some of the strands on the digital education competencies apply to researchers and their own qualifications. Apart from that, as Michael already mentioned, our Action 13 is aiming to support women participation in STEM. So the activities we are going to carry on there also include promoting women participation research in STEM, AI, disruptive technologies, and so on. So though this is not exactly our field of activity, we also try to meet with other DGs in order to collaborate. Another example has to do with the development of ethical guidelines on the use of AI in research. It's similar to what I'm doing in Action 6, and it's called AI Ethics by Design. It has been developed by RTD, and it is also a part of our action. Similarly, we also support within this action the development of AI pilots in education, but they are also supported by research communities. EIT is actually developing one of the two pilots, energy. So we have, let's say, meeting points with research, not always clear or direct, but we are working on competencies, on inclusion, on piloting tools. So we try to support research from our end as much as possible.
Thank you very much, Maria. Are there any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat. Well, I can see one more, and maybe this is the last one. Will you address the risk of the increase of digital divide between generations and between different communities where technology is not accessible or not at the last level?
Michael, would you like to start, or should I do first?
Well, I think very much the essence of our approach is indeed to, as has been mentioned, to take very much account of inclusion and making sure that the tools that we have, the credentials and all these tools that we've mentioned will be available to everybody in society, including those who are disadvantaged in terms of access to the labor force. I would say that we are in our unit dealing with VET and apprenticeships. We're looking very much at the digitalization of VET and how to use both to digitalize provision of VET, but also to use VET as a medium to provide digital skills. And in this context, of course, we're very conscious of you know, while digitalization can be a great opportunity, we must be very careful to take account of the need for inclusion and make sure that these opportunities that are provided are, you know, open to people who are less advantaged with regard to you know, participation in VET programs and so on. I'll leave it there. Maybe Maria.
Thank you, Michael. Maria.
I can also give 2 examples. Within the framework of the Recovery and Resilience Fund, member states submit some proposals. We have been going through the digital education aspect extensively, and among the recommendations or suggestions to member states is to increase connectivity not only for schools, but also for municipalities or other areas of interest like libraries. I think this is actually a very, let's say, inclusive approach, addressing all citizens, not only schools, to bring infrastructure, to improve infrastructure, not only for schools or universities, but for everyone in other facilities. In addition, we are working, as Michael mentioned, on the micro-credentials, which is something that anyone can actually register at any age. Similarly, we will expand, and we are currently expanding to lifelong learning, the digital opportunity traineeships, which actually is a very good opportunity for people who either cannot physically move to another country, have a sort of disability, or for people who live in rural areas and have other engagements as well. So I think that the traineeship opportunities in combination with offering digital learning trainings, raising awareness, micro-credentials, connectivity to libraries and municipalities are all actions towards this direction of including all ages.
Peter, if I may say a couple of words also. These are very interesting questions, the 3 that we saw in the chat, and I'm pretty sure there are many more in the heads, in the minds of the attendants. So first of all, I would like to ask them to feel free to send us any communication they would like to share with us, any thoughts, any suggestions, anything. Ekaterina already provided the email that they can use to contact us in the chat. Perhaps we can do it once more. Now, coming to the questions, in the manifesto, we already mentioned the need to create digital competence profiles, because now there is a huge landscape of digital competence certificates available, digital competencies that are added here and there in the profiles. At some point, we think that this should be systematized a little bit. Not controlled, but systematized so that we know what maps to what. And this probably would answer also the question that has to do with Europass. Then going to research, the digital competence needed for research. One aspect that I would like to bring to the picture, I think that this was also in Ellie's mind who sent the question. At least from our side, we support and promote citizen science. And in citizen science, digital competencies, in some aspects of it, are necessary, especially those that have to do with data management, data collection, and data sharing. And this is one more way to to become more inclusive. We shouldn't consider, and we don't consider citizens to be only the, let's say, passive recipients and passive users of digital technology. It is also mentioned in Digicom. We consider citizens to be creators also, to use technology in creative ways, and a part of this is citizen science. And finally, of course, our manifesto for digital competencies is all about inclusion. So not only age-related issues, but also gender-related issues, race-related issues, financial condition, accessibility also should be priority in the development, in the education and training offer that will lead to the development of digital competencies.
Thank you, Achilles. Once again, thank you very much, Maria and Michael, for your contributions. We need to move on in the program, and I will ask our next speaker, with Angeliki Dedopoulou, representative of the ICT industry through the company Huawei Technologies, Belgium. Angeliki is EU Public Affairs Senior Manager. And thank you very much, Angeliki, for accepting our invitation and for your contributions to the discussion. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Peter. I would like to thank All Digital in general for the kind invitation, and also welcome also the Manifesto. All Digital has done an excellent job by bringing together the right organizations and companies with the objective to achieve a successful European digital labor market. As you know, digital competencies are needed for many aspects of modern life. As the Manifesto rightly sets out, digital competencies are essential to how we live, learn, and work. There's not a part of our lives now that does not require some form of digital skills, from getting our health data from our doctors to scanning our food in the supermarkets to the jobs of the future in general. So more digitally competent citizens will contribute to a fairer economy. Encouraging the uptake of digital competencies is crucial to build a fairer global economy, as an increasing amount of day-to-day basic services are becoming more digitalized, and citizens of all genders, ethnicities, and generations, as you also mentioned in the Manifesto, need to be equipped with basic digital skills to live, participate in, and also at the same time benefit from the digital economy. We have still several challenges. 42% of EU citizens still lack basic digital skills. And of course, there is action that needs to be taken in order to bridge this gap. So we also, there is a need also for better access to digital education and training. Making sure that citizens are confident to use these technologies is key, also to their uptake. And as the Manifesto recognizes in its second pillar, confidence comes by ensuring access to training and education in digital competencies. The digital education and training also must remain inclusive, and also Maria and Michael mentioned this also during their intervention. And we in Huawei, we support very much the Manifesto call for digital education and training in order to remain inclusive. Not only we need to ensure that people will be able to pick up the digital skills they need quickly, but it's also important that such initiatives leave no one behind. Achilles also mentioned before that there should not be any discrimination based on gender, age, ethnicity, income, or religion. So I believe that the Manifesto comes at the right time. It aligns perfectly with the EU's agenda for digital skills, and its vision also for the 2030 Digital Compass, supported by many education policy initiatives like the European Skills Agenda, the European Education Area, but also the Digital Education Action Plan. And we at Huawei are delighted to be part of this conversation and making these commitments. The pandemic has shown that action is needed. Action to bridge the digital skills gap is now needed more than ever. The pandemic has exposed the inequality between high and digitally skilled workers who can better navigate economic shocks, and low and digitally unskilled workers who risk being hit the hardest despite performing essential roles in society. So this skills gap needs to be bridged in order to create a resilient and fair society. In Huawei, we are committed to take action to advance digital competencies, and we're fully in line with this Manifesto. In our company, in Huawei in general, does not simply pursue technological advances, but also focuses on the social value that technology creates. It has established digital skills and education program with organizations such as local governments, universities, and communities in order to enhance digital skills and develop at the same time a digital talent for the future. I also believe that we need to take into consideration the need for green skills as we move towards a green society. And with the help of the Manifesto as an important guide, I believe that policy makers should promote skills intelligence through the analysis of the labor market in order to identify the skills demands also in the green sector. They also need to encourage education and training through apprenticeships, internships, job placements, projects in general on the job. Equip at the same time teachers and trainers with up-to-date knowledge on environmental issues and on green technologies, so that they are able to share this knowledge with their students. Deploy public employment services as important players in job matching and training to raise awareness about green business opportunities and related skills needs. What is also important, I believe, is to identify industry-level initiatives that identify the type of skills based on the industry demands, both in quantitative and qualitative terms. Also establish public-private partnerships and with all related stakeholders, from social partners to academia. Finally, this is not the end of the conversation, but only the start. A lot still needs to be done in Europe to ensure digital confidence is felt by all, and Huawei remains committed to ensuring the right path is followed. We therefore welcome this manifesto and support its call to make education and training in digital competencies more accessible, coherent, high quality and inclusive. And we're also very much looking forward to possible dialogue and cooperation with all digital, but also with all interested stakeholders to deliver on Europe's digital future. Thank you very much. And again, congratulations for this amazing work. And we're fully aligned with you, and we support you on this important initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angeliki. And for emphasizing or supporting our manifesto and emphasizing the importance of collaboration with industry stakeholders, public-private partnerships, and to take into consideration the industry demands and initiatives. And we are also looking forward to finding ways to collaborate with your company. Continuing, and if you have any questions to Angeliki, please feel free to put in the chat, and we will have the opportunity to come back to the questions a little bit later. But I would like to continue and ask two other contributors from European level organizations, networks. Both institutions are represented in All Digital Advisory Board. And first, I'd like to ask Erika Wesselingh-Gutmane from CEPIS, the Council of European Professional Informatics Societies, to say a few words about our manifesto.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Thanks for the invitation to outline our views. I represent CEPIS, which is a European network of national professional informatics associations. So first of all, I'd like to join everyone else in congratulating the team of All Digital for their great work in producing this manifesto. We've had a long relationship with All Digital, so we know very well what good work they do, and we are not surprised that they did a great job with this manifesto as well. We are indeed long-standing partners of the All Digital Week and are also members of the communities of practice that Peter mentioned in the beginning. Basically, we at CEPIS thoroughly support and endorse this manifesto. We have been advocated for many of the key points that are highlighted in this manifesto, such as the need for training to be accessible, inclusive, and also keep up with the demands of the labor market. CEPIS especially agrees with the need for flexible learning, especially in the view of COVID pandemic. In our response to the consultation on updating the Digital Education Action Plan, we recommended already to the Commission that EU funding should be organized and distributed in a way that would ensure equal access to the necessary resources for all students and teachers. As you already know, the pandemic brought many problems to light, especially for the education sector. For example, the main difficulty was not to learn how to use new digital tools, but more concerned methodologies. For example, models that are traditionally used in presence, like frontal lectures, do not really work remotely very well. And also far more students than previously estimated have little to no access to computing resources. So if remote or blended teaching and learning is to become the new norm in formal education, we need different curricula and teaching methodologies to be developed to suit these models. And also proper pedagogical pre-service and in-service training must be a fundamental part of this change. The quality of education really should be a key priority for both the Commission and the member states. We also strongly support the element of inclusion in the digital education and training, especially efforts to attract and retain women in digital professions. Our Women in Tech Expert Group, for example, has been working on promoting this issue since 2012 already. And most recently, they've been working on this by developing the CEPIS Diverse IT Charter, which is a roadmap that moves through levels of attainment, and each level has a focus on attraction and retention of women in STEM, asking applicants to showcase their initiatives and policies, and then our team providing also guidance. Then we also completely agree with what Maria from DG EAC mentioned before, that ethical development and implementation of inclusion policies is extremely important. CEPIS also completely agrees about the need, with the need for increased consistency and cohesion in the digital competences education and training. With this in mind, we have always actively encouraged and supported the adoption on the use of DigComp and the European e-competence framework, or the ECF. So we regard standardization and certification of digital skills as absolutely essential. This is also where a European digital skills certificate that was proposed by the Commission could come in useful. But I must emphasize that while we welcome the Commission's commitment to tackle these challenges that are related to digital competences, we do advise against developing a new European certificate, since there are quite a lot of certification schemes already in the European market. CEPIS would see the role of the European Commission more as an independent evaluator of the existing certification in Europe, and perhaps then recognizing their coverage of DigComp framework and acting more as a quality assurance label. But all in all, CEPIS will continue supporting the goals outlined in the manifesto, and we will certainly endorse it. And we are very happy that all the essential points have been so clearly and concisely summarized in one document. So we hope that all the relevant stakeholders will also endorse it, and most importantly, not only endorse it, but join All Digital in working towards achieving all the goals outlined there. So thanks again to All Digital for leading this work, and yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Erika, and I'd like to thank you for your support, and also to be part of the community discussion about the definition of the European Digital Skills Certificate. I think we really need this discussion and the upcoming feasibility study to understand what needs to be in place. And I'd like to now invite our advisory board member, Andrea Parola from European eSkills Association. He's been a long supporter of All Digital and been involved in the advisory board for many years. Andrea, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for inviting. Hello, everyone. I have to say that every time I speak about All Digital, I'm not a neutral speaker, since I've been appreciating the work done so far since many years, and I've been following, I think, for the last 10 years, the evolution. So I can only say good things. And thank you for the opportunity to speak about the manifesto. I think it's interesting because it's good timing. And I try to have a philosophical approach here. We are in the moment where the Commission is pulling a lot of money at national level to think about the post-COVID society, how we want to see education, how we want to see people, training, about thinking about our student and people of the future. And what I like about the 5 areas, there are concrete suggestions, but also quite how can I say that the approach is putting people together where there are no discriminations, and is about building inclusive society with skills and at the core. And I think it's important to consider this because hopefully by midsummer we'll go back to our normal life. So will be new normal, and there will be a lot of need for people to learn, to find a new job, to find new skills, to have prepared the students for the future and people for the future. And I think the 5 areas offer quite interesting reflections. For instance, I like on the first one, the holistic approach as highlighted. And also I find it that the first pillar is also quite fine-tuned with the new Commission priority regarding the green and digital transformations. What I like very much about the second area is about inclusive approach, where there should be no discrimination in terms of age, race, gender, financial condition, or disability. So therefore, try to work already since the beginning about inclusive society. On the third pillar, what I like most was about the reference on some of the European framework existing. So try to also enable people to increase mobility, to learn on one side, eventually move somewhere else when it will be possible and work, and easily prove their knowledge, their ability, their competences. While on the fourth pillar, what I like also, I mean, I'm a Brussels based, so for me, everything needs to be a call in the end to the Commission to do something. And I like the idea of the call to the Commission to develop a digital competence profile. And again, the idea is try to improve mobility, encourage people to move in other places, and able to prove easily what they know and what they don't know. Actually, what they know mostly. And the last part, and then I will stop here, it's about money, investment. So what I like in the fifth pillar, it's about the reasoning of the knowledge that there is a lot of money coming at national level. And everybody focus on the RFF, so the Recovery Fund, but there will be also the European Social Fund, the Cohesion Funds. There will be a lot of indirect funding, which is a big share of money the Commission give for training, for development at national level. So I see there's a lot of opportunity at local level, so it could be regional, could be national, to work on 5 years plan. So starting to work with member state on the money coming from the Recovery Fund and continues with the other funds. And I was told to be within 5 minutes, so I hope I'm within my time. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely within, I think it was less than 5 minutes. Anyway, thank you very much, Andrea. Fantastic, and thank you for your continued support to all digital. We really appreciate that. And in this now, continuing, moving on, we asked some of our member representatives to say a few words about the manifesto, because as I mentioned, our mission is to empower our member organizations. So the manifesto must be useful for our member organizations as well, not only at the European, but at national and local levels. Our members who are representing non-formal education providers, who are supporting the thousands or millions of Europeans to succeed in the digital transformation by providing them with training and support and advice on a daily basis. So we invited 3 of our member representatives to say a few words from their perspective about the manifesto. And first of all, I would like to ask Virginia Pareja Vallina from Esplai Foundation, Spain, who is also a board member of For Digital, to say a few words. Thank you very much, Virginia, for accepting our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I hope you all are keeping well despite the difficult circumstances, which on the other hand have given even more sense to our mission and common goals, and must be an extra motivation to keep us working to bring digital competencies to each and every corner in Europe. As you all know, the manifesto sets out key principles and recommendations on how to maximize the impact of education and training in digital competencies for all European citizens, fostering cooperation to turn the digital future of Europe real. In other words, in all digital, we are perfectly aware of this being a challenge that can only be achieved if we all pull together and if we all hold firm to the idea that nowadays leaving someone digitally behind is not acceptable at all, neither for us nor for policymakers and public administrations. The 5 main areas of the manifesto are absolutely critical and should be the compass that guides us on this challenging but also exciting journey. In this sense, I encourage you all to not only endorse the manifesto yourselves, if haven't already done so, but to encourage your local and European partners to also do it. The more we are, the safer, farther and faster we will go. As for the local level, Spanish members are totally aligned with all digital's strategy and manifesto. We all agree that areas 1 and 2 are the initial basic ones, where global inclusive criteria are very well defined to ensure universal and equal access to digital skills education as the necessary first step. Nevertheless, our main challenges and concerns are these days around the 3rd, 4th, and 5th areas. As you may know, most members from Spain target not only final users with a special attention to those vulnerable, but also educators, e-facilitators, and trainers, who we consider key actors in fostering and achieving digital progress for the benefit of the local community as a whole. In this sense, we believe it is also essential to involve and encourage them so that they also become, let's say, all digital manifestos followers. This would help to promote qualified education also in the digital field and will raise awareness among local organizations about the importance of having qualified trainers, educators, and e-facilitators. That should be an imperative target group as well to ensure permanent capacity building and digital development for themselves. Regarding the European approach, in the meeting of managers of Somos Digital network that is taking place these same days, standardization and recognition of digital competencies certification are one of the main topics in the agenda. There is some concern about the effort that networks are making to promote their own regional certifications and how this will subsequently fit into the common European framework. We know that large homogenization processes at European level imply changes in the regional approaches. And one of the questions is whether Digicom will act more as a quality label or as a rubric for evaluation. Related with this, a digital competencies profile would be indeed more than welcome. As for collaboration, investment, and governance, for us, 3 of the real key current issues we all should be paying special attention to. From our view, the manifesto raises key issues and principles that should accompany any digital skills project. I'm sure we all know or even take part in many projects at national and European level, addressing the same needs in an uncoordinated way, theoretically creating something new that already exists and even being of better quality. This results in a huge investment of time and resources from our side that does not necessarily have an impact on improving the personal and professional development, inclusion, employability, or in the end, the quality of life of our target groups, thus preventing the best use of the funds available for our goals. And at this point, I would like to call for responsibility and to encourage all of us to continue promoting and further improving our collaboration work, which is in the end, the philosophy of All Digital Network and All Digital Manifesto. Sharing a unified strategy with identify key elements within a European frame of reference will definitely help us to better serve our interests and to better meet the needs of our target groups in a more substantial and consolidated way. We also would like to stress the importance and need of building all this on the basis of ethical principles, linking them with the idea of the world we want to live in. Technologies such as artificial intelligence, more and more present in our lives and with an unpredictable potential, requires being very clear and aware about all possible implications of increasingly smarter machines. We are talking about data governance, access to information, and possible self-interested uses of both. Digital competence must be always underlined with the term responsible. Responsibility about what exactly implies the use of a certain technology, because each and every action we take, also technologically speaking, is a political and social choice in a way. As we see, the manifesto also underlines key elements beyond digital skills, such as soft skills, which, like their digital sisters, have at last reached the place they deserve in our demanding and changing world. It is not only about editing contents, it is about being creative. It is not only about using Zoom or WhatsApp, it is about communicating effectively. It is not only about programming with Java, Python, or PHP. It is about problem solving. It is not only about being able to design an app, it is about being entrepreneur. And if the app is in addition social, it is about being committed. In other words, it is not only about promoting digital competencies, it is about promoting committed citizenship, being this Fundación Esplai and all digital's main transversal goal. These are the European citizens we should aspire to be, and these are the European citizens I am sure we all want to be. All in all, we believe the updated manifesto lays very good foundations for quality education in digital competencies, being also an essential framework for state digital agendas. In this sense, it would be great to have it in all European Union languages as soon as possible, not only to promote and disseminate it, but also to persuade governments as well as regional and local administrations to support it as far as possible. And offering ourselves for preparing the Spanish version if needed, I leave it here and pass the floor back to Peter. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Virginia. And indeed, that's one thing we would like to address and request from participants, our members, and any other representatives, if they would like to translate the manifesto, they feel free to contact us, and we support you in its publication. But Ekaterina, my colleague, will tell about it later. Thank you very much again, and thanks for addressing the manifesto from the Spanish telecenter or digital competence center point of view. You're representing a great network there, and all digital, I would say, couldn't really exist without its really strong Spanish support. Thank you again. And now I would like to ask Gabriela Ford, the Director of Educating for an Open Society Foundation, EOS Romania. Gabriela is also an all digital board member. Gabi, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Peter. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to address, the audience with a few words. First of all, I'd like to just say a little bit about my experience as a board member and the development of the manifesto, because I've more or less been around when the first version of the manifesto came out, and then of course I followed through with all the discussions about the second version of the manifesto, and I really want to take a word of appreciation for all the people who have been involved in actually making, this document, this manifesto, come out in its current format, because I know that although it's sort of very condensed, there's been a lot of work around consulting with people, really pulling out the really most important aspects that really sort of frame all digital within the ecosystem of digital education, digital inclusion, and so on. So I think Virginia has more or less said it all before me. I salute having such a valuable document, at European level. And I really do hope that this will be considered, as a strong shout out for policymakers, philanthropists, and business leaders and corporate social responsibility representatives, because really the manifesto in itself is great. We have it, but I really think it's even more important than what we do with it together once we have it, because unless we turn it into reality, into concrete actions with concrete funding lines, not much gonna happen, except we're gonna just have a nice manifesto. So I really urge you all to really, put some effort into really taking it on board, thinking about it, take what's relevant from it and really turning it into serious actions, because these actions will be changing the lives of people. So again, really congratulations for a great sort of document. Secondly, I want just to say a few words about, Romania, because I represent an organization that is specifically sort of working in the area of digital inclusion and digital education in Romania. And as you know, the DESI doesn't do us a favor. Every year, we hope that we'll sort of rank a bit higher in the index, but we don't. And in actual fact, year by year, we seem to be sort of swapping, the last few places in the DESI index with Greece and Bulgaria, I think, and we're just not making any progress. Romania hasn't got a digital agenda. We don't have a digital education action plan. We have almost nothing, and this is merely to do with the fact that sometimes focus is put on, especially now in the COVID context, oh, let's think about health and let's think about this and that, and but really, I think for us in Romania, a document like the Manifesto is really, really important, because it's really the first thing that we can bring to the table in order to sort of help us with our, efforts in advocating for sort of, a more inclusive digital society in Romania, in the hopes that we will be able to put a shoulder in there and actually really see Romania move from the last few places that is a little bit higher. I mean, Romania, I think, is in last or the third, country from the bottom. And that's because connectivity is really good, because in terms of human capital, things are looking pretty bad. So I think this is another thing that the Manifesto is doing really well for us, just stressing the fact that actually, technology and all of that and infrastructure is important, but if you don't have the human capital and the people to use that technology, in turn, the technology, as an enabler and, a powerful tool for our personal professional development, we're really not going to make any progress. So I'm really, really happy to take, take this new version of the Manifesto. Really, it encompasses a lot. Congratulations to All Digital for it. Thank you for giving us such a powerful tool on which we promise, we pledge that we will be building in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabi. Thank you for your very practical approach to consider a manifesto, and we do hope that it will support your work, and not only yours, but all digital member organizations, the fields. And thank you again. Lastly, I'd like to ask Stefano Kluzer from Arter, Italy. I would say in this community, a well-known digital competences and education expert, the moderator of the Digicom community of practice, to say a few words about our manifesto and how it relates to your work.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I wanted Gabi, last year it was Italy, the last country in Europe in the DESI Index for Human Capital. And we're also facing a serious challenge there. And I wanted to say just a few words. Maybe something will start changing now, because last year a national policy on digital competence development. So a large range of actions are being set up to address this challenge. And let's say that the topics of the manifesto and some of the items that are highlighted there are very much at the center also of the policies that are being adopted in Italy. In particular, I wanted to refer to the Repubblica Digitale initiative, which is being carried out at national level as part of the national coalition. And in there is a project which is being carried out by the Department for Digital Transformation, which is setting up a platform for digital competence development of adults, especially with low digital skills. And it's called Accedi project. And in this project, Digicom has been clearly adopted as the reference framework for the design of the training offer. And we already participated to the setup of MyDigiSkills together with All Digital. We took care of the Italian translation of this self-assessment tool. So some things are moving. And I wanted to mention, when Peter was saying before, how can we, or Virginia maybe, how can we carry these manifesto ideas down to earth? I think the regional policies in the coming in the new programming phase of structural funds and of course of the resilience and recovery funds can play, regional governments can play an important role there, because they are among the actors who decided much about spending on through the European Social Fund on training and education. So I think the manifesto should be, we should find ways to present it to regional and local governments. And just a few words, in the case of Emilia-Romagna, the Emilia-Romagna regional government adopted in November the new Digital Agenda 2020-2025, which is called Data Valley as Common Good. And for the first time, digital competence development was set as the identified as the second main challenge among 8. And the idea that the regional government now is undertaking a big effort to develop what they call a new infrastructure to develop digital competence for socio-economic development, mainstream, let's say, digital competence as a component of regional development, and with much attention to covering the whole region, towns and villages and the mountain areas. So the manifestos, let's say, concern about access and inclusion is very much present there. And this challenge is being addressed through 3 action lines. One is about setting up a training, an open learning platform for training in a lifelong learning perspective. And as part of this, let's say, infrastructure, there is a very strong interest on recognizing competence development through open badges. So the manifesto's statements about the micro-credentials initiative, which is being carried out at European level, is going to be looked at with much interest. And then, of course, there are activities addressing schools, again, for digital education and STEM education, with a strong focus on addressing gender gaps. And then, again, going back to the access issue, the regional agenda will develop 200 local e-facilitation points in public libraries and similar locations. And as I said, in this, also in the regional digital agenda, DigiComp is mentioned as the reference framework that will be looked at. And as I said, the micro-credential and certain digital European digital skills certificate issues will be important. So I think that as this is happening in Emilia-Romagna, across Europe, I'm expecting that most regions, in fact, will have to develop their own digital agendas in the near future. And I'm expecting that all of them will put digital competence development high into it. So I think the manifesto could be a useful contribution. I mean, these agendas are probably already written, but the way they will be deployed, implemented, of course, is usually open. And so the principles and some of the topics that are presented in the manifesto might actually give an important contribution in setting priorities and especially promoting ways, of cooperation also across regions and across stakeholders across Europe. So this was just my
Thank you very much, Stefano. And
the manifesto and what's happening in Italy at the moment.
Thank you very much, Stefano, and thank you, Gabi. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Stefano, for your contributions, and thank you for staying with us. Sorry that this event is just last a little bit longer than we planned, but we are going to finish now with Ekaterina Clifford, my colleague, who will talk about where to find the manifesto, how to endorse the manifesto, and our request for translations. Katja, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for staying with us, and so nice to see people from different countries and actually very lively chat discussion. And I would like to mention that everything can be found on our website, which is alldigital.org. Hope you can see it. Where to find the manifesto? It's on the main menu under policy. So here you can also see our position papers if you're interested what we have to say. And the manifesto, just click on it and you see this link. You can see the manifesto in PDF, an introduction, the whole text of it, and you can endorse the manifesto. Now you see the list of organizations that endorsed the previous edition of the manifesto of 2019. So within a couple of days, we'll send an email to all these endorsers to let them know about, again, the updated version and ask to confirm whether you still want to endorse it. And if you don't, please let us know, but we hope you will agree with the updated version as well, and we'll be happy to endorse it. So you can see the full text as I showed you in this tab, and it's all here. Or you can see the PDF version of the manifesto. Also, it's nice brochure, colorful one. You can have a little bit smaller with all the pictures. And as we mentioned a few times, if you want to have this manifesto in your national languages, please contact us and we'll be happy to support the design of the manifesto in your national languages. Just write to us at info@alldigital.org. Just a couple of more minutes, well, maybe 1 minute. There were quite a few questions about communities of practice, and I did send the invites, but where to find it? It's under what we do, communities of practice, and you can see the invitations to DigiComp and certification COP. And my DigiSkills also, there were a few questions right here on our website. You can go and check, you can see the webinar that we organized to see all the details, how it's done, and then also address us if you want to have it in your language. And of course, now we are organizing all digital awards that we want you to check out and apply by 10th of June. And what we do, you can see everything here, our focus areas, our projects, the summit that is coming in October, All Digital Week just finished, and all the events that we organize are here on our website. And for all the latest information, just follow our Facebook and Twitter accounts. It's All Digital EU at both of them. So you'll always be in touch with us. Thank you. I think 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, thank you, Ekaterina. Thank you very much for presenting our website and the manifesto part of it. And my final words would address and a big thanks to William O'Keefe, who had worked for or has been a consultant for a short time and worked with All Digital. And his contributions to this reviewed and renewed manifesto were essential. William, we would like to thank again for supporting All Digital, even for short time. And now William is working with the European Commission, and he's back DG Employment. And I would like to thank Achilles Kameas, the chair of All Digital, for really supporting the renewal of our manifesto, our key policy document, and all the board members who supported this process with their advice and contributions. And that's all, and thank you for staying with us and for your interest about our policy document. And I think Victoria, my colleague, would like to have a final request. If you could turn on your camera, I think we would like to take a group photo. So you can remove me from the spotlight and show everyone.
Yes, if you're in gallery view, you may see everyone. All right. So I'm gonna take a few screenshots. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. And more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
It took time already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And of course, it will be recorded. It was recorded, and we'll share the recording. It will be on the same page.